Everybody, I just wanted to take some time this morning and do a little presentation on what happens when you go 90% in on this diet and protocol, but don't go 100%. It's probably the biggest source of frustration that I've seen coaching clients is those that go 90% of the way in and just don't quite commit all the way. So kind of what happens metabolically and what happens kind of with your momentum. Because the idea behind the diet is that, again, it's a fairly short period. I mean, I know 6 weeks of weight loss can seem like a long time for people. But the idea behind this protocol is to really just drive the weight down over those 6 weeks and then transition into, a more sustainable lifestyle. So it's really important that people commit to the protocol for those 6 weeks, right? And I'll explain today kind of what happens when you don't fully commit. When you go 90% of the way, but you're cheating here and there, what happens metabolically, what happens to your momentum. So momentum is such a critical component of this protocol, right? We want to get into that fat burning mode and we want to stay there. And I'll show you kind of the results of a couple different clients, what that looks like over a couple week period of one who's going 90% and one who's going 100%, and what that 10% difference means over a sustained period of time. Okay. So again, the big mo, what happens when you cheat? So again, just want to kind of reiterate what we've covered as far as like human metabolism, what's going on with our bodies, how we store fat, how we access it, how we get rid of it. So again, first place our body stores energy is in our muscle tissues in our liver. The second place is stores body fat, right? And the muscles and liver are a lot like a refrigerator, like we talked about. Energy goes in, and then you've got energy to go utilize for bodily functions, for work, for exercise. Energy comes out, right? So muscles and liver are a lot like a fridge. You eat, energy in, you utilize the energy goes out. But what happens when you get too much energy in? Then your body has to store it, and it stores it in body fat, like a freezer, right? So too much energy that can't all fit in my muscle tissues and my liver, body's got to do something with it, puts it in body fat, right? Converts it into body fat, puts it in the freezer, and stores it in there. And so the whole objective behind this protocol is what we want to do is we want to empty out our refrigerators. We want to keep them empty. That's why we utilize such a low-calorie protocol. And the foods that we eat is we want to empty out the refrigerator and quit filling it, right? So that we can move the food from the freezer to the fridge, right? So we want to take the stored body fat, we want to use it, move it to the muscle tissues in the liver, and then burn it, right? So instead of consuming food in and utilizing it for energy, we're going to take what we already have on our bodies, we're going to break it down into ketone bodies, we're going to move those into the refrigerator, and we're going to use those for fuel. And that's how we're going to empty out our fat stores, which is our freezer, right? So I think this is a really good example of how our bodies work, right? Muscle cells and liver, they're a lot like a fridge, in and out. Body fat's like that freezer. And the whole objective of our protocol is we want to tap into that freezer, right? We want to empty out those body fat stores, move them to the fridge, and then burn them. So, but what happens when you go off protocol and start cheating is the fridge gets full again, right? So you're eating more calories than you should be, or you're eating foods that aren't on the approved list. Well, the fridge fills back up, right? And so it starts to move energy back to the freezer, right? So you go from burning fat to now you're going back to storing fat. And the issue is that it takes time to tap into the freezer and start moving it to the fridge, right? Because now we got to empty out the fridge again. We got to start pulling food from the freezer back into the fridge and using it for fuel. So this takes time, right? And it slows down that momentum, right? Of keeping that fridge empty, keeping it going. So what does this look like in real life, right? What does this look like with the client that's doing this particular scenario? And here's some numbers from one of the clients that I'm working with right now. Okay. And this client, so this is about a 17-day stretch, right? And this client's like 90% in, right? Most of the days they're eating to protocol, right? But they're cheating, right? They're having a little bit of extra food. They're eating foods that aren't on the list. And then they're frustrated with their results. And this is what it looks like over a period of time, right? So you're losing weight. Oh, you have a little cheat. Weight goes back up a few pounds. Takes a few days to get it back off. You're back to where you started. But you know, you're frustrated because now I'm a week in. I didn't lose any weight. I'm going to have a little cheat. You back up a couple pounds. Again, start buckling down, start tapping in, doing good, getting a few weight. Oh, we're going to have another little cheat. Now we're plateauing for a couple days, and now we're back down. So here's a 17-day period, and that person's lost 3 pounds, right? And they're like, oh, this is not working. This isn't, and it's like they're cheating, right? So this is what it looks like, you know, going through, oh, I had a cheat. Yep. We can track it back to that day. Oh, yep, had a cheat. And this is what 90% looks like. But the hard part for this individual is they're making a lot of sacrifices, right? They're in a day, they're still not eating a lot of calories, but they're just having that little cheat, right? Oh, I need a little bit extra. Oh, I had some rice. I had a hamburger. I had things that weren't on the protocol. And pretty soon, you know, instead of losing 10 or 12 or 15 pounds over this period of time, we've lost 3. And then it's frustrating because pretty soon the end of the diet's coming, right? And then we're going to transition out, and we're not going to be at the goal weight where we wanted to be. Okay. So this is the biggest problem with clients on the diet, is not burning your boats, right? When you go on this protocol, you need to burn your boats, right? We need to take the island, which means we're 100% in, right? Because again, they're going 90% of the way. They're eating 90% on protocol, doing everything they should, but they're just having those little cheats. And it changes you from going, again, from the fridge back, you know, freezer, back to the fridge, freezer, back to the fridge, freezer. When the goal is get in the freezer, stay in the freezer, let's burn that fat, right? So again, what does it look like when a client empties out the fridge and leaves it empty, right? Taps into the freezer and just stays on protocol. What does it look like when you go 100% in? So this is another client who is 100% committed, right? And you can see exactly how the results should be when you're on this protocol. This is what your graph should look like, right? And this is what your graph will look like if you stick to the protocol, right? If you're 100% committed, 100% in, this is the scenario, right? This is the result, and it's a predictable result every time. If you're on protocol and you're sticking to protocol and you have a hiccup, you know, we work on it. We make things go better, but we're not having the ups and downs, right? There's none of this going on, right? This is, we tapped into the body fat and we are burning that body fat all the way, right? So this is a little longer period of time. This is, you know, 30 pounds here in this period of time. And it's because they tapped into the body fat and stayed there, right? This is 100% commitment. And this is what it looks like. So anytime we go through this with individuals who are cheating and going off protocol, you see the line, right? My background in management, like data drives decision. Data, it's all about the data, right? You want to look at the data, and it's the same way with this weight loss, right? We can see what's going on when you look at the data. And again, just want you to know this is what happens when you get in. Again, empty out that refrigerator, and we start pulling the body fat out of the freezer, putting it in the fridge, utilizing it. We're using it for energy. We're emptying that sucker out. And that's really what we want to do. And again, if you look at the two graphs over that period of time, again, you're seeing the difference between, you know, a 3-pound loss and a 28-pound loss. You know, it's a big difference. And again, this time frame's a little longer, but this is what your progress should look like, and it's what it will look like if you burn your boats, go 100% in, and follow the protocol. That's what it's there for. It's metabolic, right? We're tapping into the process of ketogenesis, of ketosis. We're utilizing that intermittent fasting. We're emptying out that refrigerator every day. We're pulling fat stores from the freezer to the fridge, and we're just driving that weight down. And again, we're committed for that 6-week period, and then we're going to allow, you know, new food back in. We're going to allow things to change. We're going to reset that weight set point, and we're going to move forward at a happy weight. But this is again, the biggest issue is just not committing 100% to the process. And I just wanted to kind of have you guys take a look at that and see what happens when you cheat and see what happens when you commit 100%. So again, you get out of this what you put into it. And again, it's a big commitment, right? But it works. It works every time if you'll commit to it. So again, if you have any questions, comments about this, let me know. Love to hear from you. And we'll talk to you later. Thanks.